What's up? We're playing Tadoken, I think is how you say it. And the reason we're playing Tadoken is because it's actually pretty good. Um, I'm gonna try to keep all things PlayStation over here on the YouTubes. If you want to see like Xbox games, like specific games like Grand Theft Autos and shit like that, man, go over to my Mixer because I do have those type of games on the Xbox, not so much the PlayStation. And I know everybody gonna be like, well, you know, PlayStation is the more popular console this generation. And while yeah, that is very true. Do I have a save? No, I don't. Um. Anyway. Um. What kind of a name is Slayer? I'm sorry, that's just a weird name. Alright, no, right there. We're just gonna do J. Pause. But that's the name. Why not? You know what I mean? You gotta do like a side profile to find out what hairstyle you like. Let's do a different color of this. Dull, bright. Okay, there we go. Hold up. Okay. Face one. Ooh, let's go with a different color hairstyle on this guy. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, I like that. That's pretty dope. Okay, that one. You know what? I like that. We'll go with this. I don't think he looks too bad, but as you can tell from this alone, man, character design is not. I kind of like the dual swords. These bitches are big as hell. There he goes. Yeah, no, I think I'm okay with that. Why is everything over exaggerated? I mean, come on, man. Well, we got us a character right now, and we're starting it out on this journey with Tadoken. Again, if you want to see some different games, like specific titles, probably need to go over to the Mixer where, at least on the Xbox, I probably have that game. Like I said, I got Grand Theft Auto 5 and stuff. I don't have anything on my Mixer of that right now. We will be doing one of those in a few, probably after this, actually. I'll do like a whole stream setup on Mixer with Grand Theft Auto, I guess. Like, I'll restart it and shit for that. Oh shit. Okay. Right. Why is it every RPG starts off with the hero asleep? Do they not know how to just play a game? They gotta be like, oh, you woke up to become a hero. You were dreaming about it and then did it. Like, what kind of shit is that? Okay, I probably will die on this one. I think you're supposed to die at the beginning anyway, because they said it's a dream anyway. Oh wait, maybe not. I've had this game before. I'm playing this, by the way, is a PlayStation Now game. How am I surprised? Okay. Open the all-bearing eye. How did I jump? Okay, see, I'm just dying now. Why in the fuck am I not able to, like... I'm not able to do shit. What the hell? Come on. Okay. This is a little strange as to how I'm not really able to do shit. What the hell? Why in the hell is he not? Seriously though. Okay, see. Damn. I don't remember this game being like this. Damn. What the fuck? Dude, why is this game so goddamn hard now? Like, I can't even remotely get close. Why is he just doing that? What the hell, man? Stop getting hit. And find the damn jump button. Not just the leaps of stupid shit here, my boy. See, this is what I'm saying. I think I'm supposed to die. Okay. Maybe I'm not supposed to die. It's just supposed to be really stupidly difficult. Huh. Huh. That's odd. How have you been waiting on me? And if I'm right in front of you, I will say this game's not that difficult. Just I don't understand why it is the characters now stand so far away from each other. It's like they've purposely put out this weird thing where it's you could be really good at a game like a little while back and now it's all of a sudden you're possibly terrible. But there is no following. We'll go ahead and save. Screw it. There we go. We don't really need the helmet right now. Yay, do that later. Yay, headed straight for the village, and sorry about that. All the knocking sounds you're hearing is me fucking around with pillows and shit because I'm trying to get situated. Okay, yeah, I know. I just gotta. Yeah, see, this takes too long for to tell you to go over here like every other major weird game like this. That's almost a Monster Hunter type game. It just tells you to go here and then tells you go through here. Okay, let's just go. Let's go do it. Oh, really? I gotta talk to you some more? Oh my god, why do I gotta talk? Alright, let's go. Let's go do this. After this one, I think we'll call it a quit, but let's do it. Because they always put you in the same spot. Like I said, I played this before. It's not bad. Okay, but where? This was one thing I did not like about this game is how easy it is. Like, for you to not catch one. You know what? Screw it. I'm coming over here to fight. She gonna fucking keep doing that. Bitch, get out of my way. At some point. Mission complete. I might wait on the Final Fantasy VII game as it's not exclusive. They just bought the rights to it to have it for like probably a year. I mean, they really don't have a lot going on. It comes out at midnight, yeah, I know. Oh shit. I want to say it's the second one. I guess I got that right on the first try. I've actually been hearing kind of mixed ideas about that Resident Evil 3 remake. I saw a lot of issues within the demo too that didn't really sit too well. Capcom is now thinking they're the be all end all of the remake community now when they're barely even a company to begin with Resident Evil, as Resident Evil could have died out in the fucking 90s and nobody would know the difference. Like, I don't think anybody would have honestly cared either. Except for in the 90s, like at the end of the 90s, early 2000s, zombies really took over in a way that like gaming hadn't seen before. But at the same time, it's just, I mean, we're at the end of the PS4 life cycle, and if PS5 happens to launch this year, we'll probably end up seeing the same thing happen with the PS5 that we saw with the PS4, which is the first couple of years are going to be dominated with ports and definitive editions and just shit from older generations. It's going to have a sprinkle of new IPs in there, but it's going to be littered with just backwards compatible games. And backwards compatible games, especially with Sony, they seem to like spending more money on the same exact shit versus like how Xbox did it this past generation, creating a new IP on the new hardware and then dumbing it down for the old hardware to keep fans of both systems happy. Whereas with PlayStation, they were like, oh, it was on PS3, we got to figure out a way to get it to run on the 4. When we do that, we'll ask you for the exact same money that we asked you for on the 3. A good example of this would be like The Last of Us or God of War 3 or um, basically anything like that, where it was, if Sony would have waited like 6 months to a year to release certain titles, we would have had a better version of said game, or even if they would have just updated said game with better graphics, um, a lot of the games could be top tier level games. I mean, The Last Guardian looked and ran like a PS2 game, but it was released on the PS4. It was also in development since the PS2, so that kind of explains why that game had that happen, but it's kind of that way on PlayStation, regardless of the idea of, whichever console you prefer. Uh, I myself prefer Xbox, but that's just because I like the controller. I like not having to worry about a 4-hour battery life because I have a fucking light bar, which even Sony is, without admitting it, they're kind of admitting that that light bar was useless, because you see how small that bitch is with the dual sense, whatever the hell that is. I thought it was a DualShock 5, but that dual sense, you saw the light bar on that, and the light bar was around the touchpad, which confirms, without actually having to confirm, how useless that stupid ass light bar was on the PS4, making the controller so much worse than the Switch controller or the goddamn Xbox controller. Xbox, at least you could spend $20 on the Xbox controller and battery life is perfectly fine. I get about 6 to 8 hours out of the Xbox One controller with the rechargeable battery. The PS4, like I said, has about 4 hours tops, maybe 6, depending on how bright that fucking light bar is. Which that light bar, if you look at the PlayStation 4 to the DualSense controller, which is the PS5 controller, you'll notice they started taking that light bar way down. So when they start taking that light bar way down, they're saying, hey, we fucked up. Because if you didn't fuck up as a company, why wouldn't you leave it the exact same? See what I'm saying? Why would you change it from the PS4 original 2013 controller to the Pro controller, and even taking the Pro controller sense of that light bar and dimming it down on the regular PS4 Slim? Obviously, you as a company realized, hey, this isn't necessarily, you know what I mean? Like, it's the most useless part of the PlayStation controller. The touchpad is a solid second useless thing from PlayStation, but I will say I am glad they didn't go with the touch screen like they were showing off, trying to scare everybody, talking about, look at this TV like touchpad. You know, I'm like, please don't do that, because your battery life in the PS4 could be so much better if you didn't have the light bar. Don't put a whole fucking mini screen on the controller, because then we're only going to be able to play games for about an hour tops. And with the PS4, with the terrible battery life with the PS4, you would think Sony would feel obligated to add a long charge cable. But their charge cable is like the Nintendo Classic controller length. It's literally nothing to it. Hopefully it's fixed with the PS5. Like, I hope the controller has a long enough cord, you know. It's it's an ugly ass controller too. I don't care what color the damn thing is. It's ugly as hell. And I'm trying to figure out, why is it everybody's trying their damnedest to look like a fucking Xbox controller? Like, why is that a thing? PlayStation doesn't need to look like an Xbox controller. Only with the what they call them things, the joysticks, whatever they call them things. With those being where they're always at, instead of looking like Nintendo or Xbox, it's like, y'all still have the same bulky design as an Xbox. That doesn't need to be there. Needs to be looking like PlayStation, not Xbox or even Nintendo. PlayStation's got to define themselves, and I think they're trying to, they just don't know how to. Especially after the rumored delay, the PlayStation 5's rumored delay for 6 months due to overheating and power insufficiently being used in the system. Like, they can say that, oh, it's because it's not getting enough power, or hey, it's overheating. What they can't say is that actually in Japan the Nintendo Switch has been handing us our ass, and we see that there is a strong handheld market, not only in Japan but obviously everywhere if you know what you're doing. So, like, I've been saying that for a while. When it comes to Sony, they're not gonna let Nintendo just take Japan. But as it stands right now, even with them coming out with a new console, Xbox is again in 2020 the most looked at company, not PlayStation. You know, everybody's got their eyes on not PlayStation. Well, PlayStation, they do have the eyes on PlayStation, but it's not for the same reasons that they have their eyes on Microsoft. Meaning, people who are looking at Microsoft's next console are looking at it because, one, they want to know what it looks like, they want to see what it looks like, they want to know every little in and out about it. And Xbox was cool enough to let us get the answers to those questions that we as consumers have through a big YouTuber channel like Austin Evans, where he took apart the Xbox Series X or whatever the fuck it's called, and you could see the insides and had people from Microsoft who've been working on this thing in the video with him while he's doing this, versus PlayStation, who has held an hour and a half worth of press conference, not showing off the console at all, showing a PowerPoint tweet that takes 6 seconds and 30 minutes, and boring the entire customer base to death over shit not one of us gives a damn about. I get that that was a shareholders meeting, and I understand that that was for investors, but that should have been noted that this is not a reveal. This is not something that you as a consumer are going to want to know about unless you're just like super into stupid tech shit on these consoles, which even the most devout gamer is not into those type of specs, because if they were, why are you on a console when it's clearly PC with the better horsepower, the better graphics, the better performance? Why would you be so focused on those aspects to a console which is a closed circuit and controlled environment piece of hardware, unlike a PC, which is only as controlled as you have it, where you can upgrade the ins and outs? So I don't understand why in the fuck you would allow an hour of shit that you know majority of people are not gonna give a damn about. Why would you broadcast that? Why would you not change it? Why would you not change it? Or at least only send it out to the people who really matter, like developers, publishers. Why not just send that shit to them, and why release that shit on YouTube where you know all 100 plus million of your fans go watching shit, and they're going to stumble across this and they're going to have a negative thing to say about it, when right now PlayStation is the only console to not show the system. I don't care if it doesn't have guts in the console. I don't care if all the pieces to the puzzle are not included in it. If you're just showing the shell of the console, why haven't you at least done that? Whereas with Xbox, we saw the Xbox SX, Sexbox, whatever the hell it's called. We saw that at like the Game Awards in a like little highlight reel ending, and we saw the system. Nobody played it, nobody took it apart then, just we saw the system. That was the thing that put Microsoft over the edge, was hey, we're going to show you the console. Not only are we going to show you the console, a couple months down the road, we're going to have a famous YouTuber take the whole damn thing apart and, you know, really get you intrigued by it, versus having an entire hour of Uncle Phil on TV spatting shit that nobody cares about. You know, it seems like Microsoft is more understanding of their customers and what people want to see when a new console comes out, whereas Sony just doesn't give a damn about the consumer. All they care about are shareholders, developers, publishers, anyone who's going to give them money to make this damn system, not the people who are giving them money when the system is made. That's the problem with Sony is so damn worried about everyone else that they're kind of forgetting about the people who sold 100 plus fucking PlayStation 4s. And they don't even understand that it took them over 7 years to get to that 100 million mark. Ain't nothing against it, it's just PlayStation took a while to get to that 100 million, whereas Nintendo came out with weaker hardware. And I've always said this about weaker hardware. Weaker hardware is not only the higher selling because it's a weaker hardware can come in at under cost, but it's easier for developers, publishers, and everything else to create content. Why do you think the PS2, when it was the weakest, PS2 was the weakest, meaning it was weaker than the GameCube and it was weaker than the Xbox. The PS2 had the most games on it, had the higher install base. And you can say, oh, well, GameCube had the tiny, the tiny CDs and DVDs and all that, and that was a horrible mistake. You could say that. But at the end of the day, the GameCube was more powerful. Oh, shit, I did not mean to quit. Okay, so anyway, we'll stay here for just a second because I'm going to switch games and whatnot here in a minute. But when you look at the PS2, it was weaker, and it sold better. The PS3, which was stronger, sold worse. Not only did the PS3 sell worse being the stronger console, the games, there's actually third-party games that are better on the Xbox 360 than the PS3 because developers and publishers couldn't figure out the architecture behind the PS3. Therefore, the more definitive version of certain games from third-party developers handled better, played better, looked better on the weaker hardware. Something that PlayStation doesn't understand, something Xbox is starting to not understand with, Xbox One X being the most powerful console on the market. It doesn't matter. This is a 2013 where the PS4 is the most powerful device on the market and is able to sell like it does. Xbox hasn't figured out that, oh, I need Sony to really screw up in order for my most powerful console to sell like their PS4 did. I need Nintendo to hand me a freebie. It's not that. That's not what's going on anymore. Xbox Series X could be the most powerful console and could very well have the best sales, but it's not ever going to be at the simple fact of, oh, the most powerful console is what sells the best. We live in a time now where power is actually not the most important thing. Something we've seen, especially with this generation coming up, is the memory, and I see you put memory space on there. A lot of people are not happy that Sony's coming out with under a terabyte, and a lot of people are not happy with Xbox coming out with only a terabyte. Myself included, as my Xbox One S is actually the main reason I don't have a Xbox One X, as the One X only has a terabyte where my S has 2 terabytes internal and then 2 extra external. And I mean, everybody's been like, well, how little storage can they have and you still want to go buy it? I've been saying for the longest time it needs to be at least 2. We're hearing rumors of these games that are coming out that are going to be on the PS5 even, that are going to be well over 100 gigs day one. And the fact that the PS5 doesn't even bother to give you 825 gigs. You understand that at 825 gigs, that's the entire terabyte. So when you get a terabyte, you're getting about 825 to begin with. So they put a terabyte in there, but the amount of hard drive space being eat up by the firmware and all that other extra shit is so much that they're only able to use 825 for like saving and having digital content. Sony's PS5 seems like it's not going to do well because we are in a world where digital content, and especially with everything going on now, digital conception is key. You get what I'm saying? Like, the more memory you have, it's almost like I need more memory. I don't need more power. I need more memory. So when you need that more memory because you're buying things digital now, and with everything going on with the digital market now, it's like digital could easily take over. So I just don't understand why Sony went the route with the small memory, and they're talking about the PS5 possibly coming in somewhere between $400 to $500. And at $400 to $500, you got to realize that's just the entry price for just the console itself. So if it's $400, it's actually going to be around $500 to $550 after everything is done and said for the system. Because you're going to want to buy a PS5, you're going to want to buy a game, you're going to want to make sure you have a significant amount of memory for later on down the road. So at the end of the day, the PS5 could come out somewhere between $600 dollars at least. Like, I mean, even if it's $400, you're looking at 1 terabyte memory units that are going to have to support a lot of power in the console. And that if it's not supported in a way of, you know, say, making the games perform slower because of that, you know, if they're like, oh, the game's going to run slower because it's on a external hard drive, that's going to create more issues, not help any issues. We need PlayStation to come out with a decent amount of memory, decent amount of power, that's not only affordable but is understandable. This is something Sony hasn't been able to do since the PS2, and was something that not a lot of people discussed during the PS3, as the PS3 remained $600 fucking dollars for over half of its lifespan, and didn't drop in price until after the Slim came out, and then dropped even more in price when the Super Slim came out. And the Super Slim could have had the PS3 sell crazy amount of units had they came out with the Super Slim or even the Slim model over the day one edition at launch, showing you just how useless and how much useless crap Sony put in the PS3 to jack the cost up. See what I'm saying? They added in the Blu-ray player, they added in all those extra memory slots, they had the backwards compatibility. I'm not saying any things were bad, I'm saying they were useless because all they did at the end of the day was cost Sony to jack up the price of the PS3, which overall hurt their bottom line. And then you notice with the PS4, the PS4's entry price stayed for about 2 years and then dropped significantly and constantly. I remember the PS3 when it first came out had very little on sale discounts, and I remember walking into a pawn shop just to look at one when I saw them going on sale for the first time. And the pawn shop guy was like, oh, fuck, these things are going on sale because I can't make the amount of money I'm asking for if they're on sale. And I thought, well, no shit. And I'm like, you kind of need to keep up with what's going on with these systems if you're going to have them in your store. But the PS5, man, I don't know. I'm actually surprised we're even getting one, considering Sony was talking about the PS5 possibly not happening during the PS4 life cycle. So, I mean, say what you want about them. It's just, it's like, everyone keeps talking about, you know, oh, the PS5's price tag, and I'm like, okay, but that's just it's like when you buy a video game now, you pay $60 the day the thing comes out, but are you adding in that $20 for the season pass, making the game now $80? Are you adding in the DLC, the dollar here, dollar there, that you're gonna buy skins and shit, making the game go up to like $82, $83, $84, $90, depending on what it is? Your game entry cost is $60 to just play the base game. At the end of it all, if you didn't wait for the Game of the Year edition, if they are lucky enough to come out with one, you're paying upwards to $100 for video games nowadays. So the PS5's entry price could be $400, and that would be perfectly fine with me if it was $400. But knowing that that's the entry price with no game, with no physical external hard drive, means that I'm going to have to fork out an additional $100 for a hopefully competent hard drive that runs at least at half the speed because it's an external. Or maybe they'll have an internal that's $100, because internals are usually a little bit higher than externals. You know, it might be 100, it could be 125, could be 150, maybe even 200. Like I said, internal is usually more expensive. So, you know, plus there's higher risk because you yourself have to go in there and put everything in. There's higher risk of the damn thing bricking, not working properly, versus an external where you just plug it in and it says, hey, found a storage device. Do you want to format it to the PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, Xbox, whatever? So are they going to cut the internal prices down? Because we do know they are going to have some internal memory cards that Sony themselves put out. Or is Sony going to do like they have done in the past, especially to kind of dampen and control the sales of the handheld market, where they made proprietary and they made them 5 times more expensive? Are they going to do that with the PS5, or are they going to come in at under cost and make it to where the PS5 makes up in software sales what the hardware sales lack, because they understand the PS5 might be a powerful console? It could very well be. I don't know specs, but it could very well be a powerful console. But what's holding it back is the fact that it's only got 875, 85 gigs worth of memory versus a terabyte on the Xbox, whatever they call that thing. And knowingly, this is what gets me. Sony knowingly watching the market shift to digital, knowingly seeing that, and still thinking it's no big deal to only launch with under a terabyte. That's the thing that gets me, because I had a Vita, I had a PSP, and buying memory for either one of those fucking consoles made you feel like a complete bitch who was being ripped off. And if Sony manages to do that with the PS5, their customer base will not exist. I don't care if it was the most powerful machine on the planet. If people feel like Sony is ripping them off just so they can play their game, we saw it with the PS Vita, we saw it with the PSP, we saw it with the PS3. When Sony overcharges their customers, Sony's very own customers go anywhere else. So that's the part that has me. It's not that the system might not be as powerful as the Xbox. It's that how much more money am I going to have to pay? Because at least with a terabyte, I'm comfortable enough to at least buy 2 games before I start worrying about anything. Like, do I need to go out and buy another memory card? I can at least have 2 games that I know will not eat up half of that memory, that are not going to come close to even eating up half of that memory. Unlike with the Xbox with 825, when you have games like Red Dead Redemption 2 that are over 100 gigs, when you have games like Destiny 2, which is 100 plus gigs on Xbox and 90 plus gigs on the PS4, these games are constantly getting updates. They're constantly getting new DLC, weekly DLC, creating more and more eating around your hard drive. That's the part I don't think Sony is paying attention to, is these AAA games, these very well respected, very high selling AAA games coming out and being over 100 gigs on day one, being close to 100 gigs with DLC. I mean, this game that you're looking at is only 20 gigs with no DLC. And I mean, you can see it looks perfectly fine. Ain't nothing wrong with the graphics of this game. So if Destiny 2 is close to 100 gigs, but this game is 20, which one do you think I'm going to want more? I'm going to want the one, obviously, that's 20 gigs if I'm worried about the hard drive. it's not always about what game offers the best experience. Sometimes people go out of their way to play games that are indie titles or that are smaller file sizes because they don't have the means to go get another hard drive. So you're kind of limiting what certain people can and cannot play because they can't afford it or they don't have the means to shuffle it around or whatever. So it's definitely one of those things where it's just I don't understand it. Nobody seems to understand it. I don't think nobody seems to really get what's going on. But I'm gonna go switch this game up real quick. I'm gonna go switch over my laundry too, so I'll probably come back playing like either some Spider-Man or some Resident Evil 2 remake. I still believe RE3 remake is not worth $60. Everyone knows that I love Nemesis. It is not worth $60. Capcom could have came out with a real knock 'em out hitter with the Nemesis game had they come out with Nemesis asking for $40. I feel like that extra $20 is tacked on just because Capcom gave us that Resistance game that they were going to initially launch as a solo game, because a lot of people have been talking about Resistance, Jim Sterling and everybody like that, and they're saying Resistance is kind of not like it is a Resident Evil game, but it's not a Resident Evil game that people would have been super thrilled for had it been a solo game, like its own standalone entity. So I'm kind of like, okay, so Capcom really just taxed that on so they could ask for more money from their fans. So I'm waiting for the game to drop down to $40. I'll pay $40 for it, but I'm not paying those $60 for a game that came out in the fucking 90s that just got a fresh paint job and now Jill Valentine looks like a fucking thought. I'm not doing it, and I don't recommend anybody do that. So but I'm gonna jump off here. Like I said, I'll be back in a few minutes with maybe Resident Evil 2, maybe some Spider-Man. Haven't decided yet, but I'm gonna go change over that, and I'll be back. Give me about 10-15 minutes. If I'm not on here in 10-15 minutes, go check out Mixer. Like I said, if you want specific games, they're gonna definitely be on Mixer. I'll probably play some Grand Theft Auto 5 on there. The name is exactly the same. There is no difference. So go find the Mixer channel, and I'll see you guys in a little bit.